Hi there folks, welcome to volume 2 of the video, How Insane Can the Joan Evans Get? Okay folks, we left off volume 1 with this page from Joan Evans' video. So there were no white sheets present in the GH class missions. Quite right, Joan, there wasn't any white sheets for Apollo 11, 12 and 14. But what you didn't mention was that there are see-through, clear plastic sheets thrown over the gear for these 3 missions. Now that begs the question, Joan, why throw a clear, see-through plastic sheet over the gear? Let's see you provide a NASA link explaining that, Joan. Now, next thing Joan Evans supplies here is the J series, Apollo 15, 16 and 17. Explaining the loading of the rover and all the gear. Now I'm not sure if you can read that there, so I'll crop it out and enlarge it and give you a better view of it. Okay folks, I enlarged this section here to make it easier for you to read on the video. In order to maximize the amount of payload carried to the lunar surface, the J series LEMs of Apollo 15, 16 and 17 packed all of the LEM descent stage quads with equipment. Quad 3 contained the LRV pallet and the payload pallet, which was different in each missions. Different in each missions, yes. And I'll tell you why it was different in each missions later on, folks. Okay, folks, here's the next photo from Joan Evans' video, AS15-86-11600. A photo that Joan Evans thinks is going to save the day for her and help her to prove that the brilliant expat taffy, i.e. William Swithin, is insane. But all you have to do is have the brains to study the photo and you will see that there are many clues staring you in the face telling you it is 100% fake. And here's the first clue coming up telling you that. Here you are folks, the HXD data for that photo. Follow the yellow arrow and you can see at the bottom it says Adobe. When it says Adobe it means photoshopped. And here's an enlarged cropping of that data coming up. There you are, plain to see, Adobe. The photo is being photoshopped, it's fake. Okay folks, here's a close cropping of the gear for that Apollo 15 LEM. Now, according to Joan Evans, Apollo 15 LEM on the Earth was loaded with extra gear, put on the pallet, and then the pallet closed up, and off it took to the moon. And when they got to the moon, they pulled a rope and released the pallet, and down came the pallet and the gear. Now, pretty obvious from this photo, as you can see, the bottom gear is covered with a see-through plastic sheeting, just the same as Apollo 11, 12 and 14. Now, why would they put plastic sheeting, clear see-through plastic sheeting on some of the gear, then add extra gear in white and then a white plastic sheet on top of that? It doesn't make sense, does it? Okay folks, now that Apollo 15 LEM you just seen is the first Apollo 15 photo Joan Evans used to try to discredit the brilliant expat taffy. It's the photo she used to try to justify what I call the white sheet. A photo whereby she is trying to answer the question, why throw a white sheet over the gear? I displayed that photo as being fake a few years back. In another video I titled NASA's Disappearing LEM, where I show exactly the same landscape, but there's no LEM there. A poem I put in that video was, well, look what we've got here folks. Here's a photo that NASA wasted. They copied the LEM, but they forgot to get it pasted. The same landscape, but no LEM. Okay folks, here's the next photo in Joan Evans' video. AS16-107-17436. And this is the next photo she thinks can justify the fact that there is no white sheet, that it is only white gear, extra gear. Well, take a look at the next photo coming up and you'll see how fake it is. Here you are, folks. There's the first piece of evidence that this Apollo 16 LEM is fake. It's been photoshopped. And as you can see with Photoshop 3, and the date for the introduction of Photoshop CS3 was April 2007. And here you are, folks. Here's a cropped section of that gear for Apollo 16. We'll take a closer look at it later on. Okay, folks, here's the next photo from Joan's video. AS17-140-21370. Another photo she wants to show you the gear for the Apollo 17 LEM. And as you can see here, folks, that photo has been photoshopped. Okay, folks, what we've got here now is a close cropping of the gear for Joan's Apollo 17 LEM, AS17-140-21370. Okay, folks, what I've done here now, I've taken a cropping from Joan's photo in her video and combined it with a cropping from the same LEM that's been newly downloaded from the Apollo Lunar Surface Journal. I've combined these two croppings, and as you can see, there's definitely some degree of darkening on Joan's photo, just as she done with a LEM that I showed you in Volume 1. Another case of Joan Evans cheating to try to hide the evidence. Okay, folks, what you've just seen there now is evidence again of Joan Evans deliberately darkening the photos to try to hide the evidence of fakery. Just as I showed you in my Volume 1, what she done with an earlier photo. Now, for Joan Evans to do that, folks, she knows the missions were faked. She knows the photos are fake. Otherwise, why would she want to try to hide any evidence of fakery? So, the only missions that had William's white sheet were the 3J class missions. I wonder why. Okay, Joan, over to you. We are waiting. Here's what Joan says again now. I'll have to tell you, as William could never figure it out. Yes, Joan, you tell us. Okay, here's Joan's words here now, folks. Apollo 15, 16 and 17 were all extended stay J-class missions on the lunar surface for 72 hours. Each mission carried a lot more equipment than previously. Oh, where's your grammar lessons there, Joan? Should be more equipment than previous missions. Time you went back to school, Joan. And here, folks, is the next statement by Joan Evans. And it turns out that William's white sheet is not part of some great conspiracy. It's just extra packing material for the ALSEP. And how do I know that? Well, let's have you explain, Joan. Let's have you explain. Now, folks, pay particular attention to Joan Evans' words there. The Apollo 15, 16 and 17 missions were there for extended periods, up to 72 hours. And note how she said they needed extra equipment. Hey, Joan, you forgot something very important there, mind. Now, I'll agree they needed extra equipment for one reason. And if you go into the Apollo Lunar Surface Journal and check with any photos regarding the LEMs for 15, 16 and 17, you will find script that states they needed extra equipment. But something really important missing, folks, and we'll come back to it in a moment. Okay, folks, what we're going to do here now is take a look at some of Joan Evans' clippings from her video. We'll take a look at them and then I'll show you what this Joan Evans is when I deliver the truth regarding this white sheet on the gear for Apollo 15, 16 and 17. Okay, take a look at Joan Evans' wording here now on the left. White packaging material folded back and over the top of the miler. Then below that she's got miler cover folded down. Then on the top, and this is farcical, equipment sitting on top of the white sheet. Now notice she stated a white sheet there. And then to the right, straps over the top of the white sheet. She's making a statement there that there's a white sheet. Now according to Joan Evans, there is no white sheet. So why are you calling it a white sheet here, Joan? So there folks, overall she's insisting there's no white sheet over the gear. She's saying it's all equipment. And now she's talking about equipment on top of the white sheet. And we'll see a lot more of that as we examine more of her clips from her video. Okay, take a look at this one here now. Here's Joan's cropping for the gear for the Apollo 16 lens. Look at her wording. At the top she's got straps over the top of the white sheet. And then on the right, equipment sitting on top of the white sheet. Excuse me, Joan, I thought you said there was no white sheet. So there folks, overall she's insisting there's no white sheet over the gear. She's saying it's all equipment. And now she's talking about equipment on top of the white sheet. And we'll see a lot more of that as we examine more of her clips from her video. Okay, what we're going to do now is take a look at some clippings from Joan Evans' crack video. Here's where she screen saved a comment by Expat Taffy under the ID of Basil Brush. All you have to do to beat these idiots is ask the question, why unload the gear and then throw a white sheet over it? And Joan's reply to that is, look at the photos closely. Is that a white sheet thrown over the mess of gear? Well, Joan Evans, a couple of times we've seen you referring to it as a white sheet over the mess of gear. And now you're denying it. Okay, folks, here's another one where she states, that is not a white sheet. It is part of packaging material. It's obvious if you look. I can't see how anything can be obvious to you, Joan. Okay, folks, the next clipping from Joan Evans' video. The question you have to answer now, William, is why was your white sheet only thrown over the mess of gear on the longer J-class missions? Two things you got wrong there, Joan Evans. First thing, it is not my sheet. It is not my white sheet. It is NASA's white sheet. NASA's white sheet on 3 mission photos. Next thing you got wrong, Joan, it's not up to me to provide the answers. I'm the one asking the questions. You are the one who has got to provide the answers. And as of yet, you haven't done so. Just stating it's only on the J-class missions is not giving an explanation as to why it is there. Now, you've had your say, Joan. I'll give you the real evidence as to why it is there. And I will provide the evidence, irrefutable evidence, that not only are you a liar, you are a hole. And I will be providing the evidence here for everyone to see. What comes to your mind if you decide you're going for 3 days instead of 1? What about extra water? What about extra oxygen? And what about extra food? Joan Evans doesn't mention any of them, and neither does NASA in the Apollo Lunar Surface Journal. They say extra equipment, but no extra supplies. Now folks, another important point to note, with Apollo 11, 12 and 14 being short-term missions, many of you will see Bart Sabrell questioning Alan Bean regarding how did they keep the LEM cool, and Alan Bean stated they had air conditioning worked by batteries. Now, if they had a battery capacity of only up to about 20 hours for Apollo 11, 12 and 14, how come they managed 72 hours for Apollo 15, 16 and 17? If they stayed there 4 or 5 times longer, don't you think they would have needed 4 or 5 times more batteries? Common sense to me. Now folks, to cap this video off, I'm going to leave Joan Evans and the Birdie Bunch with a very special photo. A photo that's going to have them scratching their heads and saying, what the bloody hell is expat taffy on about now? Take a look at this photo coming up, folks, because it's going to appear in a future video. Take a good look at it. Now folks, you all know what that photo is, don't you? That's a photo of a nurse. The nurse in Bertie Slack's nut house. The nurse at Bertie Slack asked a question. He pointed up to the clock on the wall and he said, "Nurse, is that clock right?" She said, "Well, it wouldn't be in here with you if it was." Now folks, let me assure you, that photo of that nurse is going to appear in a future video by the brilliant expat Taffy, because it contains a very special clue that proves they never went to the moon.